tirelessly on behalf of all Canadians to build a strong, resilient economy that works for everyone. I want to thank Bill for his outstanding service as Minister of Finance and as the Member of Parliament for Toronto Centre. No matter his next steps, I know he will continue to make important contributions to our country in the years to come. Earlier today, I was at Rideau Hall to make a few changes to our cabinet. Chrystia Freeland is now Canada's Minister of Finance and will remain Deputy Prime Minister. Dominic LeBlanc is the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs and continues to serve as the President of the Queen's Privy Council for Canada. Hier, j'ai accepté la démission de Bill Morneau à titre de ministre des Finances. Pendant près de 5 ans, Bill a travaillé sans relâche au nom de tous les Canadiens pour bâtir une économie forte et résiliente qui profite à tous. Je tiens à remercier Bill pour son service exceptionnel en tant que ministre des Finances, mais aussi en tant que député. Quelles que soient ses prochaines étapes, je sais qu'il continuera de contribuer énormément à notre pays dans les années à venir. Plus tôt aujourd'hui, j'étais à Rideau Hall pour apporter quelques changements au Conseil des ministres. Chrystia Freeland est maintenant la ministre des Finances du Canada. Elle reste également la vice-première ministre. Dominic LeBlanc est le nouveau ministre des Affaires intergouvernementales. Il continue aussi d'être président du Conseil privé de la Reine pour le Canada. Dans les semaines et les mois à venir, leur travail sera plus important que jamais parce que le monde est à la croisée des chemins. Le Canada est à la croisée des chemins. Alors que les économies se relancent, on voit la COVID-19 réapparaître dans des endroits comme l'Australie et la Nouvelle-Zélande. C'est leur hiver en ce moment et le nôtre est encore à venir. Il faut donc demeurer vigilant chez nous parce qu'on a travaillé trop fort et on a fait trop de sacrifices pour reculer. Et le Canada est loin d'être sorti des bois. Right now, the world is at a crossroads. Canada is at a crossroads. As economies relaunch, we're seeing COVID-19 reappear in places like Australia and New Zealand. It's their winter right now, but ours is still ahead. We have to be vigilant because we've worked too hard and sacrificed too much to go backwards. The fight is still far from over. Just take the fact that some provinces are seeing new cases after weeks of declining numbers. For parents, especially, this is a big worry in terms of the school year. I hear that, and as a dad, I'm concerned about this too. Provincial leaders have a responsibility to make sure that our kids are safe in their classrooms. As federal government, we'll do whatever we can to help, including through our $19 billion Safe Restart Agreement. But of course, it's not just schools that are on people's minds. While many Canadians are back at work, the unemployment rate is still in double digits. It's tough for all Canadians, but we have to remember that it's those who are already struggling who are hardest hit. Women are facing impossible choices between kids and career. Racialized Canadians and Indigenous people are confronting extra barriers. Young people are dealing with unexpected burdens as they worry about their future. It will take time to make up the economic ground we've lost to this pandemic. It will take hard work to fix these gaps. Cette pandémie nous a appris d'importantes leçons. Elle a mis de l'avant les inégalités qui existent encore et nos vulnérabilités en tant que société. Mais le Canada n'est pas seul. Partout dans le monde, un consensus émerge sur le fait que le moment est venu de réfléchir de manière audacieuse et de reconstruire encore plus fort. Les économies avancées comprennent qu'avec les taux d'intérêt très bas, les coûts d'emprunt sont également très bas pour stimuler pour la reprise. Des gouvernements qui, comme le Canada, ont une position fiscale solide, doivent investir pour aider les citoyens à traverser cette crise. Nos alliés du G7, que ce soit l'Allemagne ou le Royaume-Uni, nos partenaires comme l'Union européenne ou la Corée du Sud, ils saisissent tous ce moment pour agir et on doit le saisir aussi. We have a choice to make. We can decide to move forward instead of returning to the status quo. We can choose to embrace bold new solutions to the challenges we face and refuse to be held back by old ways of thinking. As much as this pandemic is an unexpected challenge, it is also an unprecedented opportunity. This is our chance to build a more resilient Canada, a Canada that is healthier and safer, greener and more competitive, a Canada that is more welcoming and more fair. This is our moment to change the future for the better. We can't afford to miss it, because this window of opportunity won't be open for long. We've supported Canadians with a huge emergency response to make sure that everyone could cope during this time. We've carefully and successfully reopened many parts of the economy. And now, we also need to look to the future. We need long-term solutions that address the shortfalls in healthcare that meant soldiers were caring for seniors. We need good middle-class jobs that can withstand the challenges of tomorrow. We need to get through this pandemic in a way that gives everyone a real and fair chance at success, not just the wealthiest 1%. In other words, we need a long-term plan for recovery, a plan that addresses head-on the fundamental gaps this pandemic has unmasked. In the coming weeks, we will present our plan to rebuild a stronger, more resilient Canada. This will be our roadmap out of the pandemic towards a society that is fairer and more welcoming, towards communities that are better prepared for future crises, and towards a country where everyone is safer and healthier. As our first step to make this plan a reality, we will present a speech from the throne on Wednesday, September 23rd. This is the same week that the House of Commons was already scheduled to return. The throne speech will give us the opportunity to lay out in detail our approach going forward. It will also allow Parliament to hold a confidence vote on this new plan. Today, I have asked the Governor-General to prorogue Parliament, which must happen before any government can present a throne speech. On va présenter un discours du trône le mercredi 23 septembre, la même semaine que la Chambre des communes devait déjà revenir. Ça nous donnera l'occasion de présenter en détail notre approche pour l'avenir. Ça permettra également au Parlement de tenir un vote de confiance sur ce nouveau plan. J'ai déjà demandé à la gouverneure générale de proroger le Parlement, ce qui doit avoir lieu avant qu'un gouvernement puisse présenter un discours du trône. But I want to be clear. Whether you're counting on the CERB or EI while you look for work, or on the wage subsidy to keep employees on the job, these programs will not be affected by the prorogation. In fact, starting a new session of Parliament is about creating sustainable ways to support you moving forward. That has always been our #1 focus, and it always will be. Il y a 8 mois, notre gouvernement a présenté un plan pour faire face aux enjeux qui importent le plus aux Canadiens. Ce plan a été conçu pour un Canada différent, pré-COVID. Depuis, notre réalité a changé, tout comme notre approche. Le Parlement doit soutenir un nouvel agenda qui répond au nouveau monde dans lequel on vit. Les Canadiens s'attendent à ce qu'on travaille ensemble dans des moments comme celui-ci. On est prêt à faire notre part, à obtenir l'appui du Parlement à notre plan pour un Canada plus résilient. Un plan qui nous permet de rester vigilants et de garder le virus sous contrôle. Un plan qui investit dans les Canadiens, un plan pour un avenir meilleur. We have lots of work ahead of us in the weeks and months to come. And I know that the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister LeBlanc, who've taken on new roles today, are the people we need for the job, along with the rest of our extraordinary team of ministers and MPs. I'm looking forward to the challenges the coming months will bring. Merci beaucoup. Je suis content de prendre vos questions maintenant.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre. On va commencer la période de questions aujourd'hui avec les journalistes du foyer. We'll start the question period with journalists from the foyer. One question, one follow-up.
Hi, Prime Minister. Molly Thomas, CTV National News. Congratulations, ministers, on your appointments. Prime Minister, a week ago you informed us that you had full confidence in the former finance minister. Your office said any statement to the contrary was false. A week later, he resigns in the middle of the worst economic crisis since the Depression. What happened?
It has been a privilege and a pleasure to work alongside Bill Morneau these past 5 years as we've done incredibly big things for Canadians, helping with the Canada Child Benefit, reforming the Canada Pension Plan, and responding to the worst economic and health crisis this country has ever seen. We've been there to step up for Canadians, and Bill was extremely important in the response to the emergency situation. But now, as we look towards a recovery that will stretch through and beyond the next election, we need a team that is focused on the steps we are taking for now and for the coming years, and that's why I'm so excited about being able to work with Chrystia Freeland and Dominic LeBlanc and the extraordinary team that we have to stay focused on Canadians and what is needed for the next steps.
Prime Minister, when Bill Morneau asked or told you he was going to he wanted to resign, when Bill Morneau told you he was going to resign, did you ask him to stay?
I think through this pandemic, we have done many extraordinary things for Canadians, and every step of the way, Bill has been at my side, by my side, leading the economic challenges that we faced, being there for Canadians. And as we look to this next phase of rebuilding the Canadian economy in the coming year and the coming years, we need a team that is focused on the future. It has been a privilege to work with Bill, and I wish him all the very best in the coming years. But I'm excited about the work that the team is going to have in front of us in the coming months and years.
Hi, Prime Minister. Sarah Sears, CBC. You were at Rideau Hall today. You spoke with the Governor-General. I want to ask you about your concerns about the way Rideau Hall is being run, and have you voiced any of those concerns to Madame Payette or her officials or your officials?
My conversation with the Governor-General today focused very much on this cabinet shuffle and the prorogation of Parliament, which are significant and important things. In regards to the concerning allegations that have been laid out, we have engaged a third-party process through the Privy Council office that I have complete confidence in.
And on a personal note, will you be sending your children back to school?
Like so many parents, that's something that we are in very active discussions on. We're looking at what the school's plans are. We're looking at class sizes. We're looking at how the kids are feeling about wearing masks. I know all my friends as parents are asking these same questions, and we're looking for answers. And of course, as a federal government, we will be there to support the provinces as they really make important decisions to ensure that all our kids have the opportunity to be safe as the school year starts up. But I know that lots of parents are going to be watching carefully what their local school and school board's plans are going to be. And there is a lot of reflection in a lot of households, including mine, as to what's going to happen when September rolls around.
Merci. On va maintenant prendre 2 questions au téléphone. Opératrice, c'est à vous.
Merci. Thank you. Our first question is from Kate Bellingaro from Bloomberg. Please go ahead.
Hello, Prime Minister. I am wondering, now that you've nominated a new finance minister, how are you going to respond if she needs to stand up to you to make sure that the spending does not go over a certain budget for certain programs?
I think over the past 5 years, in working with the finance minister in some extremely important decisions, we've demonstrated as a government that fiscal responsibility happens at the same time as we invest in Canadians. We made a very different decision than Conservative governments in 2015 to invest in Canadians, to support families and the middle class through the Canada Child Benefit, to support and invest in our communities and in infrastructure. And what we've seen is tremendous growth over these past 5 years. Similarly, in this COVID crisis, we made a decision, we made a pledge to Canadians that we will be there to help people who are struggling through this crisis. And so many millions of Canadians are. We were there with the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. We're there with the wage subsidy. We're there with programs to support small businesses, to support seniors, to support youth, to support students. These are the things that we will continue to be focused on. We believe in fiscal responsibility as a government, as Liberals, because we know that government needs to be responsible in building a better future. But we also know that we need to be there for Canadians. And as I did with Bill, I'm very much looking forward to working with Chrystia to make sure that that balance gets right and that we deliver for Canadians who need support right across the country.
Merci. Opératrice, prochaine question.
Merci. Thank you. Our next question is from David Youngren from Reuters, Ottawa. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Minister Freeland has been very eloquent about the need to address increasing inequality in society, in part by making rich people pay more in taxes. To what extent do you expect to adopt that approach as finance?
These are conversations that I've been having with Chrystia over the past 6 or 7 years as she made the decision to step into politics and join the Liberal Party. And these conversations obviously continue and are more acute in a time of a pandemic when the most vulnerable are even more vulnerable, as unfortunately happens in times of crisis. Chrystia was part of the team in 2015 when we made the decision that the first thing we would do as a government was raise taxes on the wealthiest 1% so we could lower them for the middle class. And that's exactly what we did. We will continue to look for ways to ensure that Canada is fairer and more just for everyone as we make the responsible decisions to get through this very difficult time by being there for each other in times of need, but also building a better future for all Canadians, recognizing the gaps highlighted in income disparities, but also in opportunities for so many Canadians for whom the same chances aren't there. COVID has exposed an awful lot of work we need to do as a country to build a better future. Things that we will do that we probably should have done even without having a pandemic, but now gives us the opportunity and the responsibility to do it urgently. And that's exactly what I look forward to working on with Chrystia, with Dominic, and with the entire extraordinary team of ministers we have in this government.
Following up.
So will taxes be going up then?
No. The last thing Canadians need is to see a raise in taxes right now. Millions of Canadians are out of work and looking for work. The economy is still nowhere near where we need it to be. We have work to do, and we are not going to be saddling Canadians with extra costs. We're going to be investing in the kinds of things that are going to grow our economy, and that's the kind of thinking that I look forward to laying out in the throne speech. And of course, there will be other parties that have a different perspective, that think we shouldn't be investing in Canadians right now, that think we shouldn't be there to help the most vulnerable. And I look forward to those debates. I think it's going to be an important time of choice for Canadians. But I know that as a government, we are going to remain focused on making sure that every single Canadian has a real and fair chance to succeed, even during this, and especially during this particularly difficult time.
Prime Minister, Ryan Tumblety, National Post. The Liberal Party platform in 2015 said it wouldn't use prorogation as a political tactic. There are several committees investigating you right now, and those efforts will be shut down as a result of your move today. How can you have said that in 2015 and do this now?
Stephen Harper and the Conservatives prorogued Parliament in order to shut it down and avoid a confidence vote. We are proroguing Parliament to bring it back on exactly the same week it was supposed to come back anyway and force a confidence vote. We are taking a moment to recognize that the throne speech we delivered 8 months ago had no mention of COVID-19, had no conception of the reality we find ourselves in right now. We need to reset the approach of this government for a recovery, to build back better. And those are big, important decisions, and we need to present that to Parliament and gain the confidence of Parliament to move forward on this ambitious plan. The prorogation we are doing right now is about gaining or testing the confidence of the House, which is the opposite of what the Conservatives did that we rightly railed against back in 2015.
Prime Minister, yesterday Bill Morneau said he was resigning in part because he wouldn't be running again. He didn't want to be part of a future that he wouldn't be part of. Will you be on the ballot the next time there's an election?
Absolutely. There are a lot of challenges Canada is facing right now, and I'm actually excited about the opportunity and the responsibility. It's an incredibly difficult time for so many families who've lost loved ones, who are looking with anxiety into a future. And this is a moment where government can and must step up to be there for Canadians. We've been there to respond to the crisis that we've faced over these past months, but we need to be there to build a more ambitious, a more fair Canada that will take us through the coming years. And that work is what this team of ministers is so excited about, and so am I.
Prime Minister Trudeau, Mercedes Stevenson, Global News. You've said that you're proroguing Parliament as a chance to introduce a new, ambitious agenda for Canada, a vision that you'll put to a test in a confidence vote. If this isn't about shutting down the investigation into the WE scandal, would you allow committees to continue their work?
I will highlight that there was a number of documents that people were worried about not getting from the law clerk of the committees. I can say that we have released all those documents to the members of the committees so that they can spend their time going through those mountains of documents over the coming weeks so that they can continue to ask any questions they like on this issue. I have addressed these issues, my staff has addressed these, other ministers have addressed these issues in committees, and when Parliament resumes in the fall, there will be ample opportunities to continue to ask whatever questions that committees or members want to continue to do. Right now, as a government, I think Canadians want us to be focused on the next steps of the recovery, on how we're going to build back our country better than before. And the work that we're doing over the coming weeks until Parliament returns at its regularly scheduled week is going to be really important and will be the entire focus of this government. Okay. Je pense que c'est important de souligner que nous avons été là pour répondre à toutes les questions que le comité des finances avait. Nous avons partagé les documents que les membres des comités voulaient avoir. Ça, on a fait ça il y a quelques minutes à peine avant la prorogation pour que les gens puissent continuer de regarder et de poser les questions qu'ils veulent. En tant que gouvernement, je pense que les Canadiens s'attendent à ce qu'on se concentre sur les grands enjeux pour les mois et les années à venir. Et c'est exactement ce qu'on va faire pour avoir un discours du trône qui présente un plan ambitieux pour l'avenir de notre pays. Mais en même temps, évidemment, quand le Parlement revient, la même semaine qu'elle était censée revenir au début, les gens vont pouvoir poser toutes les questions qu'ils veulent sur ça ou sur toute autre chose. Mais nous, en tant que gouvernement et avec notre nouvelle ministre des Finances, nous allons être concentrés sur comment on va aider les Canadiens à passer à travers cette crise et d'en sortir encore plus fort.
Sir, you've chosen Chrystia Freeland to be not only your Deputy Prime Minister, but also your Finance Minister. It's been a model used by previous governments. I'm curious to know why you decided to give this portfolio to Minister Freeland in particular, and does that say something about your confidence in the rest of your front bench in Cabinet?
Chrystia Freeland and I have had conversations over the past almost decade now about how we need to create a fairer country for Canadians, how we need to grow the economy in ways that helps everyone. She wrote a book on the subject and has been a key player in my government since day one. As we look to building a better, more fair Canada that is prosperous and creating real opportunity for everyone, I can think of no one who is better suited to work alongside me and the rest of this amazing team as our finance minister to build that better future for Canadians. I am deeply, deeply grateful for her service and the service of all those who stand with me. And we will continue to focus on what Canadians need in the coming months and years.
Merci. On va maintenant retourner au téléphone. Opératrice, c'est à vous.
Merci. Thank you. Our next question, la prochaine question est de Émilie Bergeron de l'agence QMI. À vous la parole.
Oui, bonjour, M. Trudeau. Vous dites que les documents ont été transmis au comité et donc ils vont pouvoir étudier tous ces documents, continuer leur travail. Mais avec une prorogation, ils ne pourront pas siéger, les comités. Donc, quel message que ça envoie finalement, cette décision que vous avez prise aujourd'hui qui suspend leurs travaux?
Je pense que pendant cette crise de COVID, les Canadiens comprennent qu'on doit parler de l'avenir de notre pays. On doit présenter un plan ambitieux qui sera débattu au Parlement, qui sera voté au Parlement pour répondre à cette crise. Évidemment, les députés de l'opposition vont avoir toutes les opportunités quand le Parlement reviendra à sa semaine cédulée pour poser les questions sur ce qu'ils veulent. On a été extrêmement ouvert et transparent, on va continuer de l'être, mais en tant que gouvernement, nous allons nous concentrer sur les Canadiens et sur les défis auxquels on fait face, avec une deuxième vague potentielle qui s'en vient, avec les défis auxquels les gens continuent d'être affrontés. On va continuer d'être là pour les Canadiens, on va continuer de se concentrer sur eux.
Merci. En suivi, Émilie?
Oui. Pensez-vous vraiment que c'est derrière vous la question, l'affaire We Charity? Il y a quand même des enquêtes du commissaire à l'éthique qui se poursuivent. Ce n'est pas affecté par la prorogation du Parlement. Madame Freeland, elle était au comité COVID, elle présidait le comité qui a approuvé l'entente de contribution. Donc, cette question-là pourrait revenir. Est-ce que vous croyez vraiment que c'est derrière vous aujourd'hui?
Non, absolument pas. C'est certain que les députés de l'opposition vont continuer à poser leurs questions. Les médias vont continuer à faire leur travail. Le commissaire éthique va continuer à faire son travail. C'est attendu et c'est un élément important de notre démocratie. Mais en tant que gouvernement, nous allons continuer, comme nous l'avions été tout au courant de l'été, avec l'accord avec les provinces sur la relance sécuritaire, avec les mesures qu'on a prises pour aider les gens concrètement avec leur loyer, avec leurs épiceries. Nous allons continuer d'être concentrés sur les Canadiens. Et dans les semaines qui restent à l'été avant le retour du Parlement, on va se concentrer sur ce plan que nous allons présenter au Parlement et les députés d'opposition, parce qu'on est dans un Parlement minoritaire, vont avoir la chance d'approuver le plan qu'on présente pour une relance de notre économie qui est plus juste et équitable pour tous, ou de ne pas l'approuver. C'est le cœur de la démocratie et ils auront toutes les opportunités nécessaires pour faire leur travail important.
Merci. Opératrice, prochaine question au téléphone.
Merci. La prochaine question est de Michel Lamarche de TVA. À vous la parole.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Première chose, j'aimerais d'abord savoir, est-ce que vous avez forcé la démission de Bill Morneau ou c'est lui qui vous a abandonné?
On est venu à une entente comme est arrivé bien souvent au cours des 5 dernières années à travailler avec Bill. On est arrivé aux mêmes conclusions à peu près en même temps que pour la relance, pour la prochaine étape, puisqu'il ne se représentait pas dans les prochaines élections, c'était mieux d'avoir quelqu'un qui allait pouvoir nous porter pour le plus long terme. J'ai été extrêmement privilégié de pouvoir travailler avec lui ces 5 dernières années et je lui souhaite tout le meilleur, mais je suis très excité de pouvoir travailler avec Chrystia comme ministre des Finances et avec toute l'équipe sur laquelle on va façonner un plan ambitieux pour l'avenir du pays.
En suivi, Michel?
Déjà, au cours des dernières semaines, il y a des partis d'opposition qui se sont dit prêts à vous faire tomber. Allez-vous tomber lors du discours du trône et voulez-vous tomber lors du discours du trône?
Non, je ne veux pas que le gouvernement tombe lors du discours du trône. Je pense que les Canadiens s'attendent à ce que leurs partis au Parlement travaillent ensemble pour répondre aux vrais défis auxquels les gens font face, que ce soit par rapport aux emplois, par rapport aux jeunes, aux étudiants, par rapport à nos aînés. On a énormément de grands défis auxquels il va falloir qu'on s'adresse en tant que pays. Et c'est exactement ce que nous allons présenter dans le discours du trône. Je pense que les Canadiens vont s'attendre à ce qu'on puisse travailler ensemble pour livrer sur ces éléments ambitieux, mais on est dans un gouvernement minoritaire et ce seraient les partis d'opposition qui vont décider si on s'en va en élection à l'automne ou non. Mais nous, en tant que gouvernement, on préfère travailler pour livrer concrètement pour les Canadiens dans ce moment de crise.
Bonjour, Lina Dib, la presse canadienne. Monsieur Trudeau, on se retrouve dans ce très étroit corridor, je pense, parce que vous l'avez échappé sur quelque chose d'évitable pendant cette gestion de la pandémie qui était très compliquée, mais là où ce que vous vous êtes accroché, c'était quelque chose de très évitable, We Charity. Alors, pourquoi est-ce que vous pensez que les Canadiens vont avoir confiance dans ce que vous allez leur proposer en septembre si sur quelque chose d'aussi facile à pas gâcher, vous vous êtes planté?
Je pense que ce qu'on a pu livrer au cours des derniers mois, que ce soit la PCU, que ce soit l'aide aux banques alimentaires, que ce soit l'aide aux petites entreprises. On a travaillé avec énormément de différents partenaires, que ce soit Centraide, que ce soit différents organismes comme la Croix-Rouge. On a su développer des outils rapidement pour aider des millions de Canadiens. Et c'est sûr qu'on allait faire des erreurs, et on a fait des erreurs, et on les a corrigées au fur et à mesure. Et malheureusement, dans ce programme de bourse pour les étudiants qui servaient faisaient du bénévolat, on a eu un accrochage qui a empêché que ce programme aille de l'avant et a soulevé énormément de questions. Bien, on a répondu à ces questions, mais à chaque étape, on a été là pour livrer ce dont les Canadiens avaient besoin et c'est exactement ce qu'on va continuer à faire. Cet automne, on va faire face à d'autres défis, que ce soit une deuxième vague, que ce soit une situation qui s'aggrave ailleurs dans le monde. Nous allons avoir besoin d'un plan pour aider les familles, pour aider les entreprises, pour aider l'économie canadienne à reprendre, tout en s'assurant que nos travailleurs de première ligne dans notre système de santé aient les appuis nécessaires. Nous avons besoin d'un gouvernement qui est focusé là-dessus et depuis les débuts de cette pandémie, c'est exactement ce que nous faisons. Nous allons continuer de le faire.
Vous avez dit que pour reconstruire, il fallait reconstruire de manière audacieuse. J'aimerais savoir quelle place la décarbonisation de l'économie va prendre dans cette manière audacieuse. J'aimerais peut-être aussi entendre Mme Freeland si elle a des idées sur ce sujet.
Excellent. D'abord, on sait que notre monde est en train de changer, était déjà en train de changer même avant la crise de la COVID. La grande crise à laquelle on faisait face il y a 1 an, il y a 3 ans et qu'on va continuer à faire face, c'est toujours la crise des changements climatiques. Et nous devons de l'adresser, pas juste pour l'environnement, mais pour l'économie, pour les emplois, pour le bien-être de nos familles, pour la santé. Ça va demeurer une crise à laquelle il va falloir qu'on s'adresse. Mais ajouté à cette crise-là, on a la crise de la COVID-19, une crise immédiate et extrêmement difficile et nous allons devoir répondre à celle-là aussi. Alors, il y a énormément de défis auxquels on fait face, mais en même temps, je sais que les Canadiens sont prêts à faire partie de ce changement, de regarder un monde meilleur, de participer à un virage plus vert, un virage plus équitable aussi pour s'assurer que nos plus vulnérables aient les appuis nécessaires, que ceux et celles qui travaillent dans des conditions extrêmement difficiles dans nos CHSLD et ailleurs aient l'appui nécessaire. Pour ça, il va falloir évidemment qu'on travaille avec les provinces, qu'on travaille avec des partenaires à l'international aussi sur des grands enjeux de commerce. On a beaucoup de pain sur la planche, mais on sait que la relance économique et la réimagination audacieuse de ce que le Canada peut être doit avoir des volets verts, des volets équitables, des volets plus justes, des volets de croissance forte pour tout le monde. Et c'est justement sur ça qu'on va se concentrer. Et sur ça, je suis très content de passer la parole à notre nouvelle ministre des Finances. Merci. sorry. I'm going to allow her to answer the questions, and then I will come back for more questions. How's that?
Yeah, please don't worry. The Prime Minister will be back to take more questions. Merci pour la question, Lina. Parce que c'est ma première question, je voudrais commencer en disant à quelle mesure c'était un plaisir pour moi de travailler avec Bill Morneau. Il était une collègue excellente, une ministre des Finances excellente. Nous avons fait beaucoup de choses ensemble, incluant les négociations sur l'ALENA, incluant les tarifs, notre travail contre les tarifs 232, incluant notre travail sur la relance avec les provinces. Et pour moi, c'était toujours un plaisir de travailler en étroite collaboration avec Bill, qui a fait un excellent travail en tant que ministre des Finances. Et je voudrais aussi remercier Nancy et toute la famille de Bill. La vie politique peut être difficile pour nos familles et je veux vraiment dire à Nancy, aux enfants de Bill, que je suis consciente de leur contribution aussi. Concernant, Lina, la question de décarbonisation, c'est seulement la 3e heure de mon travail du ministre des Finances. Alors, je ne vais pas vous donner une grande explication de ma philosophie, de notre philosophie, approche économique. Mais évidemment, comme le Premier ministre a dit, une relance verte est très importante. Comme le Premier ministre a dit, le Canada aujourd'hui fait face à beaucoup de grands défis en même temps. Commençons avec le défi du coronavirus qui est toujours avec nous. Et nous, notre gouvernement, doit travailler maintenant pour aider les Canadiens, pour appuyer les Canadiens et Canadiennes dans notre travail ensemble contre le coronavirus et pour avoir une relance économique forte et robuste. Merci. Thank you. So since this is my first question, I'd like to start by saying how much I have been grateful to work with Bill Morneau and what a wonderful finance minister he has been for Canada. I worked very closely with Bill on issues like the NAFTA negotiation, like the 232 tariffs, most recently on the safe restart that we negotiated with the provinces. And Bill truly has been a terrific colleague, and I'd like to recognize that and thank him for that. And I would also like to take a moment to thank Nancy and Bill's family. Political life can be hard for our families, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize their contribution. To Lena's question about decarbonization as part of our economic plan going forward, of course, it has to be part of it. I think all Canadians understand that the restart of our economy needs to be green. It also needs to be equitable. It needs to be inclusive. And we need to focus very much on jobs and growth. As the Prime Minister said in his remarks, and this is really important, the coronavirus is still with us. This is a once-in-a-lifetime challenge for our whole country. And our commitment as a government is to do whatever it takes to support Canadians as we get through that challenge, and as we get through it, to really build back better and to turn this tremendous challenge into a fabulous opportunity for our country. Canadians have done such a terrific job in fighting the coronavirus so far. I'm really, really proud of our country, and I am absolutely confident that working together, we can get through this, and we can build back a country even better than the one we had before the pandemic hit us. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one more question in the foyer here.
Prime Minister Stephanie Levitz from the Canadian Press. In putting forward a speech from the throne in the fall, it seems then like you're daring the opposition to bring down the government and to force an election. Do you want an election?
No, we do not want an election. But it is obvious that the throne speech we gave 8 months ago is no longer relevant for the reality that Canadians are living and that our government is facing. There are many things we committed to Canadians in that throne speech that we will be continuing to work on, but many others that aren't the priority that they once were. I think it is important that Canadians have a clear idea of the plan that we have for building a stronger economy that is more inclusive, that is greener, that is fairer for all Canadians, and that is what we're going to be focusing on in the coming weeks as we return with the throne speech. But we need a mandate from this Parliament to move forward on implementing these ambitious ideals, and it's important that we have an opportunity to debate it. So I'm looking forward to the throne speech and the debate that will follow and the vote where Canadians and through their parliamentarians will be facing a choice on the kind of response that we need to take to this coronavirus crisis. Do we try to get back to the status quo as quickly as possible, or do we realize that this crisis has exposed flaws and weaknesses in our country that we need to fix, that we need to take this opportunity to fix? That's what we will be laying out in our ambitious vision for this country in the throne speech, and I think it's important that Parliament gets a chance to weigh in on it. But I am confident that, as Canadians expect, we're going to be able to work together to deliver on the kind of present and future that Canadians have worked so hard for. Non, je ne veux pas d'élection. Je veux pouvoir livrer l'aide concrète aux Canadiens dont ils ont tant besoin. Mais le discours du trône qu'on a présenté il y a 8 mois à peine n'est pas du tout aligné avec la réalité que les gens vivent maintenant. Et donc, je pense que c'est tout à fait normal que nous devions présenter une nouvelle vision sur le travail que ce gouvernement va faire pour bâtir un Canada meilleur pour tous les Canadiens maintenant et dans les mois à venir. Et le Parlement aura sa chance, donc, de se prononcer là-dessus s'il donne à ce gouvernement, dans une situation minoritaire, leur confiance pour continuer le travail qu'on est en train de faire, ou non. Mais j'espère que les députés vont comprendre que ce que les Canadiens veulent maintenant, c'est que tous les différents partis, comme tous les différents paliers de gouvernement, travaillent ensemble pour répondre à cette crise historique. Il va y avoir des différences de perspective, il va y avoir des débats robustes, mais je pense que nous allons pouvoir être là pour les Canadiens tous ensemble.
Good morning, afternoon. Tonda McCharles, Toronto Star. Minister Freeland, can I ask you a question? Given that you're the first female finance minister in Canadian history, I'd like you to address that. May I ask her, Prime Minister?
Of course.
Given that you're the first female finance minister in Canadian history, I'd like you to reflect on that. And also, if you could tell us one or two key moments or major points when you told the Prime Minister no to something he wanted.
Well, thank you for the question. And I am conscious of the fact that I am Canada's first woman finance minister. It's about time that we broke that glass ceiling. And I'd like to say to all the Canadian women across our amazing country who are out there breaking glass ceilings, keep going. we are 100% with you. One of the hallmarks of our government has been an explicitly and proudly feminist agenda. That has always been a part of our work. I have taken particular pride in, and I'm very glad that that work is continuing. I think we also know that today this particular economic challenge our country is facing, the economic challenge created by the coronavirus, is hitting women particularly hard. It's hitting mothers particularly hard. We are seeing women's participation in the workforce fall very sharply. And certainly, I'm glad that I'll have an opportunity to bring my experience as a woman, as a mother, to this really important challenge our country is facing. Now, in terms of the times that the Prime Minister and I have disagreed, it's actually something we talked about yesterday. And we reflected, I think with good humor, on a few of the issues where we have disagreed. I'm actually not going to catalog those because for me, always to be an effective minister, my motto has been to have open, candid conversations with the Prime Minister in private, but also to have a united front when we come out in public. And I'd like to thank the Prime Minister, who has treated me that way too. That's a really, really important part of any working relationship, particularly in government. But I will say this, as the Prime Minister and I yesterday reflected on some of the issues where we've had a different point of view, I think both of us did feel, and it will be up to the Prime Minister to confirm this or not, but I think both of us felt that having those different points of view and having an ability to have an open, respectful, candid conversation about those different points of view actually collectively brought our government to a better decision. Thank you.
Merci, c'est ce qui m'a fait la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.